Hello everyone and welcome back to Crypto Atlas. In today's video, we're going to be taking a look at Bitcoin, Orchid, and also looking at the graph again. The graph having a little bit of a hard day. Some interesting moves going on with Bitcoin. Let's go take a look at the news as well as the charts. If you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe so you can be up to date on the latest on cryptocurrency news and technical analysis. As well as if you guys can, it would be really appreciated if you hit the thumbs up like button. Let's try to get to 100 likes on this video if possible. The more likes, the better. It lets me know that you guys enjoy this content. You appreciate the time that I'm doing with it. And it also helps us in growing this community as YouTube will help promote the videos a little bit more based on that engagement. Click on the bell icon so you can also be alerted most reliably. And let's go ahead and get into the actual news here. So Bitcoin tops $28,000 for the first time, hours after crossing $27,000. The market cap now exceeds $500 billion. I mean, not at this point in time because it's dropped down a little bit, but at one point it had exceeded $500 billion. Recently, Bitcoin has been leaving a string of broken records in its wake after passing the psychologically key $20,000 mark for the first time on December 16th. With a market value of $512.34 billion, Bitcoin is now more valuable than all but 7 publicly traded companies, sitting between Alibaba at $545.4 billion and Tencent Holdings at $509.7 billion, according to Statista data. With the end of the year looming, some fund managers may also be buying Bitcoin so they can brag next year about being smart enough to get in 2020 while neglecting to say at which price they had done so. While the tremendous rise in Bitcoin might make it easy to think we're going to see $30,000 before the end of the year, it's good to keep in mind that this surge is taking place over a holiday weekend on thin volume. Monday could very well bring a different narrative. And I'm hoping that Monday brings a good narrative for the positive. I mean, good, you know? Let's see it go up more. Bam, wake up, and next thing you know, oh my God, it's 30,000, 40,000, 100, 10 million, 100. Okay, if one Bitcoin went up to like $100 billion in a single day, I would probably say that I don't think this is gonna last, and I don't think it's real. And the whole world is now in Armageddon or something because a candy bar now costs $100 billion or something. Anyways, I'm just joking with you guys. Hopefully you're having a good time. All right, and having a good weekend, and you had a good Christmas, holidays, everything like that. So CNN says, what the is happening with Bitcoin's insane record run? This is a nice little title. I like this. Think Bitcoin is just a fad? It's worth more than Visa or MasterCard or Walmart. Check that out, dude. On CNN Business Market Now live show earlier this month, Scaramucci said people have begun to accept Bitcoin, and since it appears in so few portfolios, it has plenty of room to grow. Still, Bitcoin is a volatile asset and will be a risky holding if you invest into it. That is true. It is a risky asset. A lot of the upside has been showing as compared to the downside. I mean, pretty much everybody's in a profit, and you've got a limited supply. More people are trying to buy what's out there remaining. A lot of people don't want to sell, so the few ones that are selling, guess what? More people are wanting to spend more money for it. So it may sound kind of crazy, but this is simple economics, simple supply and demand. And people, I think, want to scrutinize against something like Bitcoin so heavily because they want to compare it to other assets like gold or the stock market or real estate or whatever else, right? And you think that the value increase that's going on with Bitcoin is unrealistic. It's way too overvalued, right? But you got to look at the simple fundamentals of it, and then you got to look at the industry space, the fact that it's a digital currency and it's not just a piece of property, right? That you can't have 100 million people or 7 billion people, they're all wanting to put bids in on the exact same house, right? And not everyone's going to own a little piece of that house, and they can't sell a portion of that house as a trade for some other thing. Like, that's not something that's going on, right? So Bitcoin is its own dog. I mean, it's awesome. I love it. All right, moving on to the next thing. Bitcoin value tops $500 billion. Is the Bitcoin price about to smash $30,000? What do you guys think? Do you think it could happen before the end of the year? Please stop with the video. Thank you. I think that the move here is extraordinary and could be viewed alternatively as being the only game in town during this period, with most of traditional finance away until mid to late January or a bid to achieve the $500 billion market cap. Thomas Kuhn, head of research and trading with Australian Bitcoin and crypto exchange Mind Digital, said via Telegram, "I would have a hard time bidding in here, but if the timeline is longer than 12 months, it's all value up to $1 trillion. Ooh, $1 trillion? You guys think it can happen sometime soon? I mean, we just passed basically the halfway mark. The way I look at it, you pass 25K, you get to 26K, you think, okay, so 25K wasn't that major hurdle to try and overcome. We finally have gotten over it, right? So if we pass 25K, we hit 26K, why not 30? Why not 50? We're over halfway to 50K. That seems possible. And then next thing you know, past 50K, people say, whoa, we got halfway past that towards the 100K mark. Why can't 100K be possible? Psychologically, people start to believe it more and more. The rally continues to ride up really fast. If it does have a pullback, it could be a very significant pullback. But, going from $30,000 down to $22,000. Wow, that's an $8,000 increase. It sounds crazy, and yeah, it is a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. $22,000 would still put you at a higher price point than where we were at the highest price back in 2017, the 2018 period, right? So if you held on and you owned it from back then and you decided to sell it even with that massive drop, you would still be in a higher profit than in 2017, right? So it's very interesting how all this is playing out. And even then, that like $8,000 drop or whatever would end up starting to push back up and rallying back into its previous positions. The name of the game is patience. A Redditor made over $24,000 in Bitcoin basically by trolling. And so here's the details, right? Over on Reddit, you can earn what's called moon tokens. And this is awarded to people who do popular posts. I'll just go ahead and read you guys the rest of the details here. The tokens can be exchanged for cash via a long and complex process. One Redditor told users how he turned all his moons into over $24,000 worth of Bitcoin from memes and crap posting. Crypto Rich 13 claims his posts are so popular he earned over 80,000 moons since 2017. His posts include anything from ruthless investment advice, family, friends, loved ones should be put on the back burner this year, to funny Bitcoin memes. Moons were only usable within the test version of Ethereum until June, after developer Austin Griffith created a way to move the tokens from one blockchain to another. So this guy's got like $24,000 worth from just posting stuff on Reddit. It's interesting how cryptocurrency continues to evolve, and there's different ways to reward people based on engagements and things, right? Monetary value in exchange for based actions. Bitcoin whale clusters pinpoint key support level for the rally to continue. Bitcoin whale clusters are showing that $23,409 is a key support area, which means the ongoing rally has a strong floor. So just like as I was talking about before, you could have a massive drop take place and still you're moving forward, you're still progressing. In the moment, in the short term, it looks absolutely devastating, but when you look at it on a more macro perspective, in comparison to the next 5 years, 10 years, a trend that's following, that trend has not been unsubstantiated, and it shows that overall, patience is the virtue and you continue to gain value. Surprisingly, large amounts of losses were flowing on chain at $19,000 prices. When this happens in bullish conditions, Bitcoin gives us nice rallies, 10,000 to 20,000 last time. We have multiple strong supports at recent prices as well. Should not be going lower than $23,409. Bitcoin BTC is advancing in parabolic moves from September 20th low. I expect this curve to be violated at some point, but not to produce 80% decline. Green curve is a larger parabolic advance from December 2018 and March 2020 lows. This is the driver of bull markets. Where would Bitcoin top out at? Well, traders are generally believing that Bitcoin could rise to two different levels. There's the $30,000 price range, and the other one is $36,000. The latter has become a popular near-term prediction because the options markets indicates a high probability of $36,000 being hit in the upcoming months. Of course, the former is a key psychological level. I think this rally tops out midterm around $30,000. It's the golden ratio extension. Also happens to be where Coinbase and Phoenix got fat ass laying around. This is from somebody named the Byzantine General over on the Twitter side. All right. Next up. After promoting Bitcoin merch discount, Mark Cuban praises Bitcoin monetary policy. That's right. Mark Cuban, the guy that previously compared Bitcoin to saying that he'd rather have bananas. So I guess at this point, the golden Bitcoin looks more promising than the golden banana, right? So he said, want to spend your Bitcoin somewhere? Spend it with the Mavs and get a 25% discount for using Bitcoin. This was back on December 23rd. He followed up with that today, December 27th. He said, public companies should learn a lesson. Whoops, didn't mean to do that. Public companies should learn a lesson from Bitcoin and commit to not issue new shares of stock ever. Their stock prices would immediately jump. And then next thing he responds is from when Elon Musk had previously said, this is actually an older post, this was December 20th, but Elon Musk said, Bitcoin is almost as BS as fiat money. And Mark Cuban said, blasphemy, I say. Blasphemous, I say. Just blasphemous. So what do you guys think? Do you guys think that a lot more people like Mark Cuban are going to be changing their tune and they're going to be starting to promote different forms of business that they have and being willing to accept Bitcoin for payment? I would like to say on a side note, by the way, if you guys didn't know, previously Mark Cuban offered the ability to purchase Mavericks tickets to go see these games using Bitcoin. And when he was asked about it back then, he said that, like, well, he's just trying to find different ways that provide a means of financial payment for people that want to go to his games, basically. It's kind of a weird response in how he said it, but, you know, obviously he's okay with getting some of it, and he's trying to kind of expand out his horizons a little bit, but not fully diving into it. But the way he's talking about all this stuff now seems like he's seeing that, okay, all the big players are starting to come in now. Like, it's not just all the little people, they're yapping. Big people are wanting to come in. Now it's going to starting to get some more movement because they've got their own communities. Now check this out. 10-year-old block rewards wake up. Data parsers catch a string of 1,000 Satoshi era Bitcoins from 2010 spent today. If you ask my opinion, I'm not a financial advisor, just so you guys know, make that clear. But if you want my opinion, I think this news might be one of the leading contributing factors, in addition to the fact that we had a strong run up recently and some people were wanting to start taking some profits, so it's only natural. But I think this kind of news could have been what largely caused for Bitcoin to start dropping in value, because we've seen this happen in the past. When old Bitcoin starts being moved around, some people start to freak out thinking maybe Satoshi himself is getting ready to dump all this Bitcoin he's been holding all this time, right? On December 27th at around 2 a.m. in the morning Eastern Time, another large string of decade-old sleeping Bitcoins was transferred. The miners spent 20 block rewards that were originally mined in 2010 and also spent the corresponding Bitcoin Cash block rewards as well. The Bitcoins moved are worth well over $27 million using today's exchange rates. Update: at approximately 3:10 p.m. Eastern Time at block height 663241, another 2010 block reward was spent, making it an aggregate total of 21 decade-old block rewards on December 27, 2020. Most strings of 2010 spent blocks this year have been precisely 21 consecutive blocks. Interesting when you think that there's 21 million Bitcoin total, right? So 21 consecutive blocks. In the cryptocurrency space, old coins that haven't moved in over a decade are sometimes referred to as a Satoshi-era coin, sleeping Bitcoins, or zombie coins. Estimates think that there are well over 1 million zombie coins that haven't moved in over a decade. On December 18, 2020, on-chain researchers from Glassnode tweeted that 1.78 million Bitcoins have never left their miner address. That is 9.5% of the circulating Bitcoin supply, the on-chain researchers said at that time. Our analysis shows that 98% of those coins were mined more than 7 years ago and 94% more than 10 years ago. Most could be lost forever, the researchers add. All of the block rewards from 2010 spent on Sunday morning stemmed from Coinbase rewards issued between August and October 10 years ago. The rewards from 2010 include approximately 1,000 Bitcoin worth more than $27 million using today's exchange rates. Wow. The 20 block string of Bitcoin rewards from 2010 transferred today had the lowest privacy score one can get when spending Bitcoins. According to BlockChair's privacy-o-meter, the 2010 Coinbase reward spends on Sunday had a rare fingerprint, a co-spend, and likely a sweep, and the same address inputs. That spend in particular sent all 1,000 Bitcoin to this address here. But the coins were then moved into fractions after the original consolidation. That particular spend scored a 90% privacy rating on BlockChair's privacy-o-meter, as it was sent with a touch more discrepancy or no output of the same type as inputs. All right, let's go ahead and go take a look at the charts now here. So looking at the charts, you can actually see for the previous day, Bitcoin was in the red when it closed out. There was one point where it peaked right around $28,400 and it declined all the way down to $25,777. So we're talking about a quite substantial price discrepancy there. That's almost $3,000 over the course of one day's movement. The volume for the previous day is higher by comparison than some of the previous days. Although you saw this massive rally taking place, the volume wasn't even that significant. So you have all this massive price increase, right? But low levels of volume. In fact, back here we saw a huge spike in green take place, but this red that was this back and forth movement over $3,000 price range, ultimately ending slightly in the red. It wasn't as much as activity as we saw back on December 17th. So I think that's something really interesting to point out. Remember, it's a holiday weekend. What the heck is going to happen Monday with everything that's been going on? We've had a couple days here of absolutely massive gains. So looking at this, basically going from Christmas Eve, where the rally first started to take place, that was initiated around $23,200. So we got $3,300 that's gone up. More or less since that time period when a lot of people might have taken time off because of work or whatever. Technically, crypto's still open, but when people go back in the office on Monday for things, it's going to be interesting to see how they decide to react to all of this. Do they take profits? Do they go ahead and keep feeding it even more? Is there even more FOMO that's going to kick in? And looking at the way the charts are right now, I think there's a chance that we could end up seeing this push even harder. Also, what's interesting to note, I did point this out yesterday, and I feel pretty proud about this. And I think I showed it the day before too. But this was my potential breakout zone. So from this zone right here, I just carried it on top as we do with trend patterns, and lo and behold, that top that was reached was very close to this. I actually had a top position at 28,169, and then the top position here was 28,389. If you actually move this position over here, this even more reflects the actual idea of where that point is. I mean, I think it's actually like right on the same side. As this hits the baseline for that level of resistance in that top position. So very, very accurate. I'm so glad that I showed you guys that. I don't know if it helped any of you that were watching out on my video, but you know, I try to keep this to the fundamentals, especially for Bitcoin, because we're in uncharted territories of things. So do keep that in mind, guys. So we got to try and break above 28,389. Once again, Bitcoin is looking pretty strong, pushing up pretty heavy right now. We're now moving out of the weekend closure. The CME gaps is going to have a pretty large gap over the weekend. Statistically, when you look at it in the past, most of the time the CME futures gap has been filled. But please keep in mind that some of these recent rallies that we've had, people were expecting it to go down and fill them, and they didn't fill them. Or they went in, they just kind of tapped in a little bit, but they didn't fully fill it, right? So we could see some potential pullback, but I think with everything that's going on right now, we should not really be expecting that to happen at this point, because we're now past all-time highs. We're getting way more demand. A lot of circumstances have changed, so that's very important. First major zone of being combated against is going to be right here at $26,800. Not only can you see that happening back on the December 26th candle, but here for the December 28th candle, the daily formation that we're on right now, it also had bounced off of right around that zone. So we are seeing a bit of a rally up, a little bit of pullback going on. The question is if it can pass that. If it can pass that, psychologically getting to $27,000 once again, then pushing up to $27,500, and then past that $28,000, and then passing this point at $28,400, hitting $28,500, seeing if it's going to bounce off there. Basically, we're doing the $500 increments, right? Every $500 makes you psychologically think if you're closer to one end or the other. If you're 26,000 510, you're closer technically to 27,000. If you're 26,410, you're technically closer to 26,000, right? So it's just little psychological elements, and that's what a lot of the trends come down to, is the study of human reaction, the emotional reaction. What do the large masses tend to do, and these kinds of things. Now, whales can throw things off because they have so much money that their one move can overpower the mass majority, and that's where things get kind of thrown in with the wrench. So that is what it is there, but this is on the way going up, looking at it on the way down. On the daily formation here, we do have $26,000 as a bottom position as the first key level, which makes sense, 26,000 again psychologically. Then if we go down to my baseline right here that I've been establishing, this is around $25,800. If it decides it wants to drop even further than that, then I would be looking at the 21 EMA, which is coinciding pretty well. It's just slightly above this position that I had set up down here. So the 21 EMA is actually looking like right around $22,811. Right in that zone. That'd be quite a significant drop to take place, more than likely a bounce off of the 21 EMA. If it wants to dip down a little bit further and then retrace back up, because we do see candle wicks take place, and I would assume more than likely the daily candle close, if it drops, would be above the 21 EMA, but if it wants to dip down, then another key level is going to be right here, right around $22,000, right? So again, that's still an absolutely insane massive drop. We're talking $4,700 over the course of a 24-hour period. But you never know with these things. We do see an uptick in volume going up in this direction right here. So uptick in volume going this way. Price is also going up in this way right now. The previous day with a little bit of a decline, just slightly, but we are still actually in a positive position. So still some good movement going on for that. Now let's go and take a look at what's going on with Ethereum and keep it brief with these other coins. Looking at Ethereum, passed over $700, key psychological level I had been talking about previously. If it wants to go and drop down, base level of support at the 21 EMA is $622. So really keep your eyes open for 622. For a bottom, more than likely, decides it wants to drop even further. Looking at the charts right now, I am seeing a bit of consolidation taking place right around in this zone right here. Going across like this, you can see some multiple candles in their positions near the top right there, the new daily formation taking place. Not a super strong indicator, but it does have some references that are just slightly off in these positions. So I would be looking right around in this zone here, which looks to be, let's drop that down so it's actually a little bit more straight. So that's gonna be right around $560. Looking pretty good though. It is on the 5th day of green candles, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The previous day was quite substantial, a lot of volume in the daily candle as well. And also keep in mind, with that sell-off taking place from Bitcoin, some people might be looking at trying to balance out the market dominance and start to get the altcoin rally moving a little bit. So I wouldn't be surprised if some people were selling off their Bitcoin and moving those funds over towards Ethereum, because Ethereum still has more than twice its way to go to get to its previous all-time high, right? If we go all the way back over here, we're looking at $1,428. Right now we're at $709. You multiply that by 2, that's $1,420 right now. So we're very close at this exact moment to having to being at that halfway mark back to its all-time high. If we break above that halfway mark, once again, psychological element, right? People start to believe that it's much more probable. So I think that we're going to see a huge explosive growth. This is just my opinion, but I think we're going to see a huge explosive growth start to take place for Ethereum here, and I think the altcoin rally is going to be very soon. The Ethereum is being listed. You can't see it right here, but it's being listed as a strong buy. So the next major zone is going to be around $833, and then I would say that another major zone obviously is going to be $1,000. It will start to get closer to that. We'll go over more details as we start to go into those kinds of levels, but right now I'd be most concerned about keeping above this $700 range and establishing a daily closure above $700. That's very important for the trend. And then also in the short term, if we can get above $835, if we can get above that and also close above it, great. And you know, we're looking for 2 to 3 days for something like this with its Ethereum movement. I would say 2 days is going to be pretty reliable, but obviously 3 days is the most reliable in their positions. Let's go take a look at what's going on with Orchid next. Again, I'm going to try and move through these a little bit quicker. So looking at Orchid, Still down in the lows range of around 24 cents. 25 cents has been its continuous positions for this. It is still below that level of support. So as you guys can see, those bearish signs that were being formed, overall it's still technically in its bearish pattern, although this is kind of like a consolidated phase. Yesterday it did break into the symmetrical triangle, broke above the 21 MA, even broke the level of resistance, but lo and behold, it was another pump and dump situation. All this movement that started to take place, guess what? It got pushed right back down by whoever, the automated systems. I don't know what the heck is going on. I don't understand how these people can be making so much money when they're pumping the price up and then immediately selling it off right afterwards. Like, is it just barely going up at all? And then on top of it, you got to find people that are willing to buy it. So yeah, I don't know. Anyways, so you got these massive wicks that are taking place on the top side here. It is starting to climb up a little bit past 24 cents. To hit the 21 EMA, it's at 25 cents, 0.2530. That level of the top level of resistance for now for us with where we're at is whoa, holy cow. Okay, well that was really interesting to see. I've never seen that happen on a chart while I'm looking at it right at the same time. That totally caught me off guard. That just went up 1 cent right there. So I think that was roughly $5 million or something that somebody just dropped into the market, and then immediately you saw a sell-off take place, right? That's really interesting. And now look, it's starting to rally up again. Whoa, holy cow, dude. I can't believe we're watching this live. Well, I'm watching it live. You're watching the recorded video afterwards. Jeez. Interesting timing for me to click on that, right? So if it can get above this level right here, around 25 cents, and look, it basically bounced right off of it. Oh my God. So hopefully this is a sign to you guys that I'm doing pretty good with my technical analysis research, and I hope that you guys do subscribe if you have not already subscribed, and also make sure you click the bell notification. Feel free to share this video with other people. You know, I try to keep it very fundamental. I try to be very realistic with people with what the chart patterns are saying and what things are tending to go. Not trying to direct my own narrative, but just be unbiased. You know, I own a lot of Orchid and I want it to do well. I honestly do. It'd be great for me and it'd be great for a lot of other people. I believe in the project, but just the fundamentals alone, man. And I'm very specific with the topics of what I talk about, and it's been very reliable. So I hope this is a very clear sign to you guys that I do put a lot of time and research into this stuff, and I'm not 100% accurate with everything, but hopefully you can see that I'm doing something right. So that put a big smile on my face right there. Next level is 26 cents, 0.2656. Getting past that in the consolidated zone here, we saw a major form of consolidation in these sets of periods, which takes place right around 27 cents at 0.2757. Then getting past that, we're essentially entering the median zone for this other long-term consolidated space, right? And that break above the top would be right around 32 cents. So breaking above 32 cents would be absolutely amazing, and I think at this position that we're at right now should be very plausible, especially if Ethereum has a continuous rise. It's a top 100 cryptocurrency, and its price for a lot of people in their consideration is highly undervalued. You might argue and say that the VPN space is not necessarily that big, but when you think about cryptocurrency and the whole decentralization, the privacy elements, you got things like Monero, which are trying to do more privacy. This does fit into a niche market, and it makes sense. But the fact that they're willing to expand out, and they want to expand out, and they're supposed to be expanding out into other markets besides just VPNs, is really exciting. So to be a part of that movement in the beginning, I think is so critical, and that's where you take the most risk, but you also can reap the most in the benefits later on. It's a patience game. Obviously, these big pumps and dumps are very annoying for the people in the community, and I've seen people on Twitter say you know what, I'm done with Orchid, and they're bouncing out, right? So the weak hands, they're getting shaken out. The strong hands, oftentimes they're the one that prevail. We could get burned with this, and you got to be prepared with it, but it is what it is. If this decides it wants to get back in this consolidated space, as I've been saying, right around New Year's is a key decisive moment. December 30th, January 1st, that kind of period here, it should make a major movement in one direction or than another. I am a little bit concerned though, because since we've had enough days to establish below here for this level of support, this formation is starting to change the trend and the pattern. Realistically, I could move this position over but it's trying to fight within this region zone, trying to get back in this consolidated space. So I kind of like how these both converge within this space. So I'm going to keep it like this for now, and then we'll evaluate what happens throughout the rest of the course of the day. Bitcoin's still on a tear right now, by the way. And then lastly, let's look at the graph. GRT, USD, looking at it in Coinbase. And Orchid could still have some pullback going on for the day. I'd still be looking at a low range right around 21 cents. That's what we've been kind of seeing for a drop down zone, just so you guys know. Looking over at the graph has been having massive pump and dump situations too, right? Massive pump, massive dump, pump, massive dump, further decline down there. We saw another massive run up, and then immediately this trail back into its position. Now it's still holding below 40 cents. If this continues to have a further drop down, we could see a drop down to a range right around in this zone here, around 35 cents, 0.3585. A further bottom, we actually see a couple points of reference here. I would be more concerned about at 33 cents, 0.3349. Now the project itself seems very promising. A lot of people have interest in this. I think I said 37 cents, right? Because we got 1 point here as well as over there. So looking at 37 cents. So the project itself seems very promising. Keep in mind that they have a ton of circulating supply, and they're going to have even more of a ton for the total supply. So large movement prices as this continues on are going to only get harder unless they come out with some other major news. And right now people are doing pump and dump situations. There was a lot of hype and hysteria behind this, and now people are looking to other projects, so they're trying to take their profits and move it out of this and, you know, jump on the bandwagon of something else. So I've been seeing a lot of people in the space between New Cipher, the Graph, and Orchid kind of circulating between those three about which one that starts to make the rally, and they're like, oh, you know, I'm dumping all my New Cipher for this, or I'm dumping all my things for this, right? That's what I'm seeing a lot going on social media through Twitter. Anyways, that's going to go ahead and do it for this video, guys. I guess last thing that we could say is that on the rise up, we got some level right around here. There's 3 different points of reference back on December 19th, 26th, and 27th. That's at 50 cents. So if you get above 50 cents there, start to make that rally back towards the dollar, and that's also a psychological element. So we'll see how it goes. So far, a little bit in the red, a little bit of pull back, pushing back up towards the top. But yeah, that's going to go and do it for the video. Once again, if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the thumbs up like button. It really helps out a lot. I would love it if we could try and get 100 likes on every video that we're doing. Try to get some momentum going on here. We've been struggling and trying to get these likes on the videos. So if you guys are listening right now and you haven't yet done so, please, if you can, and in future videos, please, if you can, help out with that. Really trying to grow this community. Click the bell icon so you know whenever we have a new video. Leave a comment down below. Tell me what you thought about everything said today. If there's anything that I missed that you also want to talk about, you could also just say hi if you want. And I will see you guys in the next episode.